Arash, let's start with the big news, because maybe you'll know the answer to this. All social media today is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce getting engaged. So my question to you, because you might have inside knowledge, is former Cincinnati Bearcat teammate Zach Collaros, what is the over-under on him being part of the wedding party? I'm not saying best man, but one of the guys that will stand up for him in the Swift-Kelce merger when they do decide to walk down the aisle.
Very good question, Maz. I'm not on the fence on this one. I think it depends on size of wedding. Will they do the royal wedding extravaganza with everybody invited and large bridal parties and groomsmen? If so, I think the answer is yes.
Yes.
If they do something super small, super private, I think the answer is maybe. I'll tell you this. KC played in Buffalo on a Sunday night. It's either last season or the season before. Late in the year, Zach was in the suite with Jason and Taylor, and that's now granted he lives in suburban Toronto in the off season, etc. But that's a small little circle inside that suite at the Bill Stadium. But I tell you this, I have news. We can ask Zach tomorrow on the show because Mr. Collaros will be joining us live on the Sports Cage tomorrow when I come into studio to join Barney for an afternoon of fun and games.
I asked Barney yesterday, I said, are you going to tease potentially who's coming on the show on Wednesday? Because I'm not looking after the text line. I interviewed Jay McNeil, president of the Stamps, last week, and the text line was melting down. What is this? This is Rider Radio, not Stampeder Radio. And I thought, when I heard, I'm like, oh, you guys are going to get Zach Collaros on? Rider Nation's going to lose their mind. Keep in mind, he was part of Rider Nation. We really like the guy. We didn't want to get rid of him. We can't hate him for the success he's had. I mean, he's gone on to have a great career. So if Zach Collaros comes on tomorrow, oh, man. It's a great get by you guys. I've always liked the guy because I like him because he's got a little bit of an edge to him, but he was just a guy that wanted to play football and win. Hey, listen, nobody wanted to see. He unfortunately got hurt, and the Riders, they made a decision and moved on. And then Zach just happened to move on and start winning and keep on winning.
Well, and don't forget, there was another stop on tour in between. He went to Toronto. The Argos were done with him at the last minute, probably after the trade deadline, if we're being honest. The deal was processed to send him from the Bombers, from the Argos to the Bombers. And people inside the building there in Winnipeg told me that Mike O'Shea wasn't happy about it because he wanted to ride Drew Willie. Amazing how things go. Right? Next thing you know, 5 straight Grey Cups. They win 2 of them. Zach's on his way to the Hall of Fame. And, because you have yourself a franchise quarterback of that capability, Mike O'Shea's on his way to the Hall of Fame as a coach and as a player. But back to the news of the day. I saw this one today, Maz, and I have to share this with you. This morning, on a couple of the sports books, the odds of Kelce and Swift getting engaged this year was about 25%. And it has been for the last number of months. By the time early morning turned to mid-morning, it went up to 45%. So somebody knew something at some point along the way. And we'll find out tomorrow from Collaros if he had any intel on any of it.
Well, Colson, put up these pictures because there's engagement photos, and these don't happen spur of the moment. These have to be planned. Somebody's got to shoot it. And Arash, you've been around TV long enough. Although there's only 2 people in front of the camera, on a photo shoot like this, there'd be a crew of probably 5, 10, 20-ish people. That's a lot of potential leaks that could just slide a subtle text message or a DM here or there. Hey, just was part of this. Keep my name out of it, but something to watch for.
Maz, I tell you what, that is not done in downtown Kansas City on the day after training camp ends while coaches are doing roster cutdowns. I'd love to know two things. One, how many security guards were involved in and around the perimeter of wherever this is? Two, where the engagement took place. Two, how many NDAs had to be signed by how many people who would have been in and around there who had intel that Travis and Taylor were going to be getting engaged? I think those are all fair questions.
So my initial thoughts when I saw those photos, it was at the Temple Gardens Spa in Moose Jaw. But I can't confirm,
Yes.
so I don't want to go. I don't want to go big with that. But that's my hunch, and we go from there. Arash, walking out of the stadium in Calgary on Saturday at McMahon, there was a lot of us Rider fans going, "What just happened?" Yesterday was Overreaction Monday on the show. People had a chance to vent, melt down a little bit. Today we're a little more calm. But Dave Dickinson and the Calgary Stampeders once again put the Saskatchewan Roughriders in a pretzel and took away everything they do well on offense and defense, and the Stamps picked up another win.
And I don't want to be like go full Belichick on this, Maz. Like if you're Corey Mace and the Riders, you're on to Cincinnati. Like it's just on to the next one. I remember Jerry Glanville, renegade Jerry Glanville, back in the day, way before he became the Ticats defensive coordinator. When he was in Atlanta, he said, some games, sometimes things just happen where you can't really learn much from the tape. You just burn the tape and you move on. Rex Ryan infamously took his team out from a team meeting after they got run out of the gym one game. They went to the back of the facility. He had a shovel. He dug a hole, and they put the game film in there, symbolic of, look, bleep happens, we move on. And this game will have no significance if the Riders win the next two. This game has all the significance if you spend too much time dwelling. So, Vernon played extremely well. The Riders did not play well. I think that the more learnings from this game come, the next time red and white means green and white. But to me, like you can't have any residue with this rivalry back-to-back coming up with the Bombers. You just can't.
I think they can shake off a lot of this. The one thing that I am worried about, the confidence, because Brett Lothar comes out in the first quarter and he misses a 20-yard field goal, which if you're a pro kicker, those have got to be automatic. I don't know what the automatic range is anymore, Arash. Is it 40? Is it 45? Where you have to be in the 90th percentile. Anything beyond that, okay, it gets worse. But he's in his own head. They may need him. The Bombers do advantage Bombers. I don't care what anybody says, advantage Bombers when it comes to special teams and their field goal kicker, because Castillo's bombing it from everywhere. It just being there, it kind of let the air out of the building a little bit for Rider fans when he missed that field goal, because it's like, oh no. Because not only right then, but it casts a shadow of a doubt for the rest of the game of, what if we got to go to him?
Yeah, and look, I'm still backing Brett Lothar, but I can totally understand why the "here we go again" thing can resonate. And what I wonder now, and look, this can all be erased with a couple of strong games, with a game-winning kick, with a big kick. Yeah. My question now is, do people in the locker room wonder? They're not going to say it out loud, but are they kind of whispering or thinking to themselves? And that's where things can get a little dicey. So look, it's always on to the next one for a kicker, but like you just get the sense that this game for Brett means a lot more just because of what has gone on the last few weeks.
Bombers are learning how to win with adversity. Guys are getting hurt. New faces in the lineup. Guys are going down. Last game, running game started to roll a little bit. Zach Collaros looked like he was starting to hit some cylinders. Willie Jefferson was knocking down passes like Willie Jefferson does. And to me, all the pressure is on the Riders to win these next two games. The Bombers, who a lot of people have written off because they're only at 6-4. There's nothing there. They're old. hang it up. O'Shea's done. Winnipeg is trending in the right direction.
Maybe, but they beat a Montreal team with a fourth-string quarterback, and they had Chris Streveler playing slot back. I don't know like how trending in the right direction that is, Maz. Like they let Brady Oliveira carry the mail. That's what you need to do when your offense is sputtering and struggling and all those things. You go to the best player in the league and you hand him the ball and you get him the ball in the backfield and let him go do work. The week before they beat Ottawa, an Ottawa team that didn't have Drew Brown for 4 quarters. So the honest question is, honest statement is, I don't know where the Bombers are trending. The week before they lose to Calgary in a bizarre game.
Yep.
I'm not quite sure who and what the Bombers are. Like when it's a 3-point game against the Alouettes, nearing the midway point of the fourth quarter, if that game went just a little hairy, a little sideways, a couple of turnovers, yikes. So I'm not ready to kind of put a possession arrow in any kind of direction for Winnipeg right
now. Because it is the CFL and you love it, we have to, with warts and all. Because Montreal is on their 9th quarterback and we're only 10 weeks into the season, only in the CFL can that kind of craziness happen. You can't be faulted for who's on the schedule in front of you and the record that they have at the time. You just have to win those games, and that they are.
Yeah.
Had they lost to Montreal and had they lost to Ottawa, whole different scenario of like, this team is really circling the drain. And is it time for Mike O'Shea to wrap things and all of that? But they're winning when they kind of need to, and you see some things there. With Labor Day coming up on this weekend, and we chatted with Darian yesterday, and he told us his favorite Labor Day game as a rider. Okay. And it was during a terrible season. Is there a Labor Day that stands out for you?
Oh, yeah. I tell this story every year on the cage. And I'm telling you, Maz, it withstands the test of time. A little bit. There's a little bit makes it dated because I worked for the Bombers in 2008, and Charles Roberts was the running back. So in those days, the team would travel by bus from Winnipeg, stop at Brandon for the guys to stretch their legs out, and sandwiches were provided. Like this is true. Then they would come in, practice like a walkthrough in Regina. The boys would have themselves an evening in Regina. The next day, walk through at Old Taylor Field, and then would go to Moose Jaw and stay at the spa, away from the hoopla of Labor Day, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I'd never lived on the prairies. I'd never experienced a Labor Day in Regina. The GM of the Bombers at the time was Brendan Taman, who was the GM of the Riders when they won the 2013 Grey Cup. Taman, a couple of weeks before the Labor Day game, says to me, he said, "You've never done a Labor Day in Sask, huh?" I'm like, "No." He said, "Okay." He's like, "You have to stay in Regina on the Saturday. Don't go with the team to Moose Jaw. You stay. You have to just go experience it." And it was like I tell people, it's one of the true experiences of Canadiana. Like it really is. Just like the Briar Patch at curling at the Briar. So Sunday morning, game day, I'm checking out of this hotel in Regina, and I'm at the checkout desk. When I hear the elevator door open, I look to my left, and there's Charles Roberts. And he looks at me, and he says, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "What am I doing here?" I'm like, "Dude, you got to be in Moose Jaw right now or on a bus on the way from Moose Jaw. What am I doing here? What are you doing here?" "Want to ride to the stadium?" Sure. So I jump in Charles's car. We get in. Charles lights a cigarette and starts driving towards Old Taylor Field, stops Maz at a 7-Eleven, puts the car in park. The cigarette remains in the ashtray. And he looks at me and says, "Want any breakfast?" I'm like, "I'm good, Charles. Thank you." He goes in, he gets himself 2 Snickers bars and 2 Red Bulls in a little 7-Eleven bag. We drive to the stadium. Got a parking pass? I don't have a parking pass. We talked our way into the Ken Austin lot, park the car. Charles lights a second cigarette, and he walks into Old Taylor Field with a 7-Eleven bag of Snickers and Red Bull, a lit cigarette, and it ended up being his last game as a Bomber. They ended up trading him for Joe Smith of the BC Lions a couple of days later. That, to me, the Labor Day class. Who and what Charles Roberts had going on the night before that Labor Day game, I don't know. But I can tell you the breakfast of champions was 2 Red Bulls, 2 Snickers, and 2 cigarettes.
I think that story connects on a lot of levels for Sports Cage fans. A, you were kind of ditching your job and playing Dodge
Yes.
Boss, which is great. The balanced meal at 7-Eleven, that's checkbox number 2, and then lit cigarettes all over the place, checkbox number 3. So if Zach Collaros doesn't do this on Sunday, Arash, I will be a little disappointed if he doesn't live up to Bomber lore of like, listen, Zach, here's what you got to do. Could I ask a question? The car, was it a rental or was it the lady friend's car that he had met the night before? Where did the car come from in the story?
That car, I don't think Charles took the bus with the team. I think Charles drove on his own. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It wasn't the first cigarette smoked in that car, I promise you that much, Maz.
Oh, life before HR departments was all good. This is kind of crazy. Nick Arbuckle goes all Tom Brady on the weekend for the BC Lions. And then Trevor Harris has a very pedestrian game, throws for a couple hundred yards, but the PFF, the Pro Football Focus guys, put Trevor Harris ahead of Arbuckle on the honor roll this week.
I don't get it. Especially like on top of it all, Trevor throws for a couple of picks. Trevor had a 3-score loss. Arbuckle had a 3-score win. I don't know if there was a typo. I don't know what they were looking at. I get the last year's Grey Cup. The stakes are obviously different, and the scenario is different. That Arbuckle just gets thrown into that whole thing. But I think from a regular season standpoint, that may have been Nick Arbuckle's best game as a starting quarterback in the Canadian Football League. He mathematically kept Toronto alive. They put up more than 50 points, 3 touchdowns, no picks, over 470 yards of offense, efficient, smart, all those things. I don't even know how Trevor was in the conversation, to be quite honest with you. What also impressed me, Maz, is that that's an Argo team that was 2-8, trailing 14-3. It could have been really easy to fold up their tent, and Nick Arbuckle was a big reason why they didn't.
Couple of things. I think that the Argos at 3-8 are the most dangerous 3-8 football team in the Canadian Football League. If they somehow just got into the playoffs just cause, even with a terrible record, you can't bet against them, because the other thing too is Ryan Dinwiddie and his coaching, with what he's had to do with the depleted roster, the injuries, the juggling, the all of that. And I saw, who did they release today? Williams.
They signed Mackay Polk. They signed Mackay Polk, who's comes cut by Atlanta, was basically their number 2 receiver last year after Kelce, and they, Arbuckle didn't have his number 1 target either in that win over BC. But I think we're going to have a really good idea of where the Argos are in a month. You got Hamilton, you have Montreal, you go to BC all in the month of September, and Edmonton somewhere in that mix. So, it's a ruthless October. They have Hamilton, then they go to Sask and Calgary back to back. So can they sneak in? Maybe, I guess. But we're in a scenario, Maz, where I think the crossover is very much in play. Right? I mean, you have Calgary, Sask, Winnipeg, BC. One of those teams is going to have a far superior record to the Argos and the Red Blacks. So that's going to be the issue, I think, for Toronto.
Before we jump into baseball, Tyler Elgersma, released by the Green Bay Packers. Do you think he sticks on a practice roster with them or somewhere in the NFL? Then he may get a look and at least hang around for this whole season somewhere?
Yeah, I was checking it this afternoon because teams are starting, everybody gets released today and there's so much movement. I believe that Elgersma's best chance is right there in Green Bay to stick
Me
around
too.
on the PR.
Yeah.
You have Matt LaFleur. You have a team that's invested a little bit into you. You know the offense. You know the system. You know the whole thing. He may get scooped up somewhere else on somebody else's PR, but he's almost got to start from scratch when it comes to learning the playbook, learning the language, learning the terminology, etc. If Green Bay extends a practice roster offer to him, you've got to take it. And I wonder, Maz, if you're Elgersma, if it doesn't happen, are you still better off waiting just to see how this season plays out? Don't sign in Winnipeg once your CFL rights and just give this one more year. Like a year ago at this time, you were gearing up for the season with Laurier. You're in no rush. Give yourself one more shot at an NFL opportunity and then see where the chips fall where they may after that.
The one thing I like about Matt LaFleur is that because of the coaching tree that they came from, is that he is, to me, seems like the type of guy that, forget pedigree, didn't like LaFleur, if he sees what he wants, would give Elgersma a shot to be quarterback. Doesn't matter he didn't go to an American college, not drafted high, all of that. Can you run my offense? And can you run it real well? And that's why I agree with you. He needs to stay in Green Bay if he can, because he has a coach there that's a quarterback whisperer that could be like, all right, he may be nobody else's guy for 31 teams, but he could be one of the guys for one of the teams. So I agree with you there.
Here's the thing. As of now, and a lot can still change because of all the movement in the league, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, because Green Bay waived Sean Clifford, the other quarterback there, right now Green Bay only has two quarterbacks on their roster. It's Jordan Love and Malik Willis. So there's going to be opportunity. Yeah. So it's kind of one of those wait and see things.
And it's funny. And until the games get played and then the injuries happen, next thing you know, like they could be two men down. And Shedeur Sanders, for anybody that's wondering, is the number 3 quarterback in Cleveland. And Jays, they win again last night. They're up, 5 on the Sox, 6 on the Yankees. There's a good chance, unless something catastrophic happens, we're in that wild card. Things are looking good. I know there's still a month of baseball to play, Arash. Who's the one wild card team that you don't want to play? I say it's Seattle. They're too much like us. They can play any style. They can have good pitching. They can explode for runs. Who's on your no list as far as wild card teams when it comes to the Jays?
Yeah, I guess Seattle, I'm not worried about Detroit. I wonder what's going on with the Astros. Boston's turned it up. There's a series 3 weeks from now, I think, Maz. Boston comes to town. I think that's going to be electric. That's going to be basically for the division. That's going to give us some real kind of insight as to where both teams are going to land. I tell you this, there are very few teams, if you're the Blue Jays, that you're worried about. Honestly, the American League is up for grabs. There is no dominant team, and the Blue Jays have real starting pitching. And that is what October is about. You have a scenario where you go Gausman. If Scherzer's thumb is able to hold up, he's in that mix. I don't even know if Chris Bassett, how you would work a best-of-5 series. Is it Bassett? Is it Barrios? Where's Eric Lauer in all of this? They have depth. They have options. These are things that teams wish to have in October. This is what the Blue Jays have wanted to have. They've had so much health with their starting pitching this season, and now the most important part of the year, the payoff looks like it could be there.
if you're an executive at Rogers and you're sitting around a boardroom table and they're spinning a wheel of how expensive can we make these Blue Jays playoff tickets because we're going to sell every last one of them. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, it just landed on ridiculous. Like, I think because of the drought, Arash, you know this, no matter what the cost, it's like Oasis. They played in Toronto the past couple of nights. No matter what the cost, if you love Oasis, you're going to plop down your hard-earned money. And I'm expecting in the ridiculous 4 digits for tickets.
Yeah, I mean,
and even some of the crappier ones.
I know of somebody who dropped $20,000 for a courtside seat to the 2019 NBA Finals. There are people who are willing to do wild things when it comes to bandwagon, and yeah, that's a real thing, Maz. So, where were you when?
Wow. If you missed it earlier, Arash broke the story that Zach Collaros will be a guest on the Sports Cage tomorrow with Barney, and Arash is going to be in studio at Century Studios in Regina. If we don't have a sign waiting for you at the airport when Colson and I come and pick you up, it's not because we didn't try. It's just we got a lot going on. My kids, they going back to school in a few days, and trying to get all that arranged, all of that. So Colson will be in a.
Colson has
what
no.
year is the
Colson has no. Yeah, Colson's got no excuse. Maz, before we wrap, I think it's.
Yes.
And I want to talk about this on the show tomorrow as well. But condolences to the friends and family of Craig Smith, former assistant GM, personnel director of the Riders and the BC Lions and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and Craig died after some over the weekend, some serious health complications. This is a dude who loved Canadian football. And when I say Canadian football, he worked in the CFL. He would be I'll never forget this because I bugged him about it all the time. We were both working an NFL preseason game. We're in the press box. And Craig's scouting the NFL game. He's got one tablet open, watching a U Sports game. He's got his laptop screen open, watching a CFL game. Loved Canadian football. Loved U Sports football. Had so much respect for the university game. His wife Kathy, they were a package deal, man. You'd go on the road, and the two of them would be there together. So, sincere condolences. It's a loss for the game. It's a loss for a lot of people who knew him. And he's going to be missed across league circles. A lot of people knew this was coming, but it's still jarring when it happens, and that's what happened over the weekend.
Arash, safe travels tomorrow. Don't be afraid to drop Barney's name at the airport or wherever you may need it. I don't know if it gets you any further or anywhere or gets you taken into a private room for an extra secure search. But hey, listen, it's all an adventure, right? That's why we love sports.
Appreciate you, man. See you tomorrow.